Hi and good afternoon. Today we have with us Dr. Ananda Balayogi Bhavanani. I actually do not know how to introduce him because he's a doctor, he's a dancer, he's a singer, composer, songwriter, choreographer, a yogi, and many more things. So let us ask him how he would like to introduce himself.
I think the most important way to be known is as a good human being. We are not born human by accident. But once we have this great opportunity to be born human, I think to manifest our humanity, to become more of a humane being, thinking about others, and then finally manifesting our divinity, as Swami Vivekananda said, I think I would always like to be known as a person who tries to be a good human being.
You were born to very charismatic parents. Have you ever felt the burden to wanting to live up to their names? Was there any pressure from your parents' side?
You see, actually pressure depends on the individual. Now, if you understand something as a blessing, if you understand something as an opportunity to grow, if you understand that they are giving you a firm foundation on which you can build, I think it's no burden. But if you think, oh, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? It becomes a burden. So for me, it has been very much a blessing. I feel I've been blessed to have this opportunity to have the spiritual genetics, the physical genetics, and the artistic genetics from both the parents. So I have looked at it as a blessing rather than a burden.
You're a Carnatic singer, songwriter, composer, and a percussionist. So tell us about your musical journey.
Starting off at a very young age, maybe 3 or 4, what I found was that anything I got in my hand, I used to be playing with it. So, just something like that, or, pick up a drum that some musician left behind. In fact, when I was in Czechoslovakia in those days as a small kid, while my parents were having dinner, I went off onto one of the stages where there was a band performing. And they had taken a break. I took the drummer's stuff and started banging on the drums. When they came back, they actually started playing with me, so we ended up with a nice orchestra. Now the other thing was that there used to be a lot of music, a lot of dance going on in the ashram when I was growing up. So naturally, I was sort of drawn to joining with the bhajans, so the students would be singing, and if they were singing the bhajans, I would be dancing for it, Nandalala or Radhe Krishna or whatever was going on. And at a certain point, maybe I was about 6 or 7 when my parents thought I should have official training. So I started training with one of our musicians, Kalaimamuni Manikkannan sir. And he started giving me the background in music, starting with this Sarali Vaisai, the Sarigama Padanisa, and developed in me a very beautiful interest in the music, which then when around the years 8, I joined Krishnamurti sir for the Mridangam lessons. Before that, I had actually joined K.M. Vaidyanathan sir. He was the first Mridangam master for me. After 2 years, he transferred me on to Krishnamurti sir. And then I continued my musical journey with Srirangam Ranganathan sir, who then brought into me an understanding of the depth of the music. But till the age of, say, 17, I was in school studying in Kodaikanal. I used to come back to Pondicherry for holidays and have classes. I was doing a lot of music, singing on stage, performing, playing on stage, dancing on stage. But I would say I didn't really realize what I was doing. The intricacies, it was just I was to do it, I was trained to do it, I was doing it. But at around the age of 17, I started to have this very beautiful inner experience, and I would very much credit KJ Yesudas and his music for it, because he managed to give me what I was learning in a more digestible form. And then I started to understand, oh, this is what the Raga Mohana is. This is what is happening in Mishra Chaputala. And suddenly something opened up. And I will say, ever since that point, maybe when I was 17 or 18, it has grown deeper and deeper. My understanding with Lakshman sir for the dance, Shankar Narayanan sir for the music, has even enhanced it further. Because with T.V. Shankar Narayanan sir, one of the greatest Carnatic vocalists of India today, I have understood the importance of hitting that connection with the audience. It's not just you performing, but it is you and the audience connecting. And this connection I learned very much through Shankaranarayanan sir. And thanks to Amma and Swamiji, those spiritual genetics and the yoga, I have been blessed to see the spirituality of music, and that is what comes through my musical compositions. It is not just made to suit somebody's ear or to make a name. It is an outpouring of my spiritual longing, my spiritual devotion, and my evolution.
Tell us about Ananda Ashram and Yoganjali Natyalayam.
Ananda Ashram initially was founded by my father Swami Geetananda Giri, Swamiji, and my mother Meenakshi Devi Bhavanani Ammaji joined him as a student in 1967. And between 1967 and 1973, the ashram was running in Laspet in Pondicherry. And then around 73 to 75, we shifted to Kambali Swami Madam in Tatanjavadi, where the interest of Swamiji and Amma to take yoga, the music and the dance to every part of society grew in the Sri Kambali Swami Youth Yoga and Cultural Arts program, where thousands of kids would come on Sundays to the ashram. They would come to the puja in the morning. They would have the yoga class, the dance class, the music class, go for swimming in the swimming pool, all have a free lunch and enjoy their life every Sunday. At the end of the year, those who had good attendance were given free clothes, free books for schools, lot of scholarships, textbooks for schools. It was like a community upliftment program, both through the food, the clothes and the books, but more importantly the spiritual and the cultural development, which was through the yoga, music and dance. Now this slowly grew into Yoganjali Natyalayam, which was founded in 1993, and through that I would say in the last 21 years, at least 17,000-18,000 young people have benefited from this yoga, dance and music program, becoming better human beings, or rather the best human beings they can be in this lifetime. They may not be the best dancers, they may not be the best musicians, they may not be the best singers, but they are good human beings. They are social beings. I don't think any of them would go and throw a stone at a bus, for example, or burn a bus. Now, that type of citizen, that type of human being is what we are trying to create at Yoganjali Natyalayam through the yoga and the cultural arts. The aim, I would say, is giving them a spiritual vitamin infusion to go with their modern education.
As you said, you started doing your mridangam at a very early age, and then you realized at 17 what the essence of it is. So there have been like three parts: a student, and then a performer, and now you are a teacher. Which part do you love the most?
The teaching part. See, when you are a student, you're just gaining information, it is getting transformed into knowledge, slowly starting to touch wisdom. As a performer, you start to understand the connection with other people, the importance of timing, the importance of the teamwork. But then I think all of this comes together when you become a teacher, because you are then blessed with an opportunity by the divine to pass it on to the next generation and help them maybe shortcut all the mistakes you have made. And as a teacher, I think the most important thing I try to share with my students is that, okay, this may be a mistake, so let us make sure that mistake I made, they don't make. And I think this is a very beautiful evolution that happens for me as a human being in helping others to manifest that inherent potential within them, amazing potential. And it is like the diamond, it's sort of the diamond jeweler. And he has all these diamonds and he has to polish them, cut them, put them together into this beautiful necklace. That then is a beauty that hasn't existed before. As the Buddha says, try to create a beauty that didn't exist earlier. And I think as a teacher, we have that opportunity to bring to actuality the potentiality of the student. So definitely any day, teaching is, I think, the one that satisfies me the most.
Many of my friends think that Indian classical music and dance are terribly boring. Do you think that the artists haven't caught up with times, or do you think the audience do not have the intelligence to perceive these forms of art?
That's a very, very strong question. And in fact, a question I was talking to my guru, Adiyar K. Lakshman sir, some time back about it. And he was talking of the common refrain amongst performing artists who say, we need to bring the arts down to the public. And he was saying, what is this of bringing the arts down? Shouldn't we be educating the public and bringing them up so that their refinement is such they can understand the arts? And I think the Speak Mackay program, a very beautiful program that runs in many universities, colleges and schools in India, it is a private program which, thanks to some of the corporates, is continuing. They bring the big artists down to school, college and university to perform and interact. And I remember in school having Pandit Jashraj, Balamurali Krishna, Alarmel Valli, the Dhananjayans coming and perform, Mandolin Srinivasan performing, and it created a very beautiful understanding amongst the young children of the greatness of the art, because they also used to explain. And I would say it is one part is to be blamed on the artists who do not take the effort to explain. If I am singing a song on my tour, like down under in Australia, or I'm in Italy or the UK, if I'm singing a song in Tamil, it is my duty, my dharma, to explain the song, the concept of the song, what is happening in the music before I perform. And they can catch it. Now, if an Italian, an American, an Australian, an Englishman can understand it, I think our Indians can. But we are not doing it, because we think they are Indian and they must understand it. It is their duty to understand. No. And the other thing is, it is very easy to sort of go to a market and find people buying potato chips. Huge market for potato chips. How much is the market for diamonds? Very less. So the problem is that you have to cultivate a taste. But taste will come as you listen. And this is what I went through, because there I had all this great treasure, training, experience. I was performing on the stage, not knowing what was going on. And that is why I told you, Yesudas enabled me to make that jump and suddenly realize what I was doing. This is Shankarabaranam. This is Mohanam. This is what we are doing. And I think if someone like me with such a background had to go through that, imagine the young people who don't get that chance. We are fed with the most inane lyrics. The rhythms that are there are the most basal animal rhythms. And unless we give people an opportunity to understand the greater importance of this music and dance, I don't think it will die out. It will survive. Indian culture will survive even us Indians. Though we are desperately trying to destroy it. It will survive us because it is Sanatana. It is eternal. But as a teacher, as a performer, wherever I go, I try to explain what are we doing. When I talk of Shiva, it is not just Lord Shiva sitting on Kailash with Parvati having a good time. It is Shiva, the consciousness, the goodness, the auspiciousness, the evolutionary transformation. So when I sing Om Namah Shivaya, it is not just, oh, I am worshipping Lord Shiva. No, that is only one aspect. It is the little finger. The whole picture is the evolutionary, transformatory energy that we are invoking. And the moment you give that, our young people are intelligent. Our young people are greatly intelligent. They have amazing ability to comprehend. But we are not doing it. But I feel that if it is done in the proper way, I have seen in Yoganjali such amazing change. The children growing up, understanding the culture. And nothing wrong. I also enjoy Western music. I also enjoy the modern cinematic music to some extent. But then, I remember Yesudas, KJ Yesudas's statement. He said, film music is for my stomach. The classical is for my heart. And I think I would say the same very much.
You told us about your musical journey. We would also like to know about your dance.
Well, I think I've been a very reluctant dancer. In fact, it was because of my mother's insistence I went to classes, and most of the time the only reason I performed was my mother's insistence, and the fact that my father had such love for the culture, and that when I danced he was able to perceive something wonderful. So I became a vehicle for it, and that sort of empowered me and said, okay, fine, if you can bring that out in someone who's such an amazing human being, you must be doing something correct. But my training under my mother, it is always difficult to train under your own mother, because the mother-son relationship, the guru-shishya relationship are two different things. And I'll always say, even to this day, as a mother, well, she and I may have lot of differences of opinion. But as a teacher and student, never a single difference of opinion. She is right. So, training under her, exploring the nuances of the dance, learning about it, and then going to Lakshman sir. And with Lakshman sir, to stay with him on many occasions, staying in his house from morning 6 o'clock to night 8 o'clock, there would be classes. I would be running into class, running out of class, climbing the trees, changing the light bulb, running to the shop to buy milk packet. All of these experiences, they brought out a very beautiful side, which I feel is the emotional side. And I will say it helped me develop empathy for other human beings as a dancer. But the biggest joy has been going into choreography, because as Lakshman sir said, having the music, the mridangam and the dance has enabled me to give in the compositions something which is sort of a unified feeling. I would say that many people have good rhythmic compositions or emotive compositions, or there would be very good lyrics in it or very good music, but then to be able to try and bring all of the aspects together. See, when you meet a human being, you want a person not just who has beautiful eyes, not just a person who has beautiful toes or a beautiful nose. You want a person who is beautiful in every sense of the word. And I think that is what the composing has given me, especially because it's my own lyrics, it's my own music, it's my own choreography with, of course, Devasena's input tremendously. Again, a blessing to have someone in my life who shares the same path. Dharma Patani is a word we use, a very beautiful word, sharing the Dharma. But this combination has, I would say, given me the greatest sense of fulfillment, because as Abraham Maslow says, he says, what a man should be, he must be. And I think this is the thing, a singer has to be a singer, a poet has to be a poet, an artist has to be an artist. That is the way they fulfill themselves. They self-actualize themselves. And I feel that this type of choreography, this type of composition, it has enabled the self-actualization process a lot. And the other thing which I have found, which psychology talks about, is something called flow. And flow depends on having great ability and a great challenge. It is only when the ability is great and challenge is great, flow occurs. Up to that, it is either boring or too easy, but that flow, that moment where you lose yourself, that I have found through my music, I found it through my yoga, I have found it through the choreography. I may not have found it as a performer. I think I was always quite self-conscious as a performer. But as a choreographer, as a teacher, that I do think I tap into that self-actualization and that flow. And it's a very beautiful experience.
I know you said you like teaching the most, but you're also a practitioner of medicine. If you were to choose between a teacher and a doctor, both are noble professions, which one would you choose?
Both.
No, there's only one.
See, I believe you can have the cake and eat it too. I don't believe you have to make a choice. People think if you're a doctor, you cannot be a teacher. If you're a teacher, you cannot be a doctor. It's like saying either you can have a heart working or your head working. I believe that you can have the head and the heart working together. and I definitely will not choose either one, because for me, being a doctor is like being a teacher. You are sharing, you are giving a helping hand and a compassionate ear to people. You are having empathy, intelligence, empathy in helping another person to come from where they are and achieve the potential as a healthy human being. That is the doctor's role. As a teacher, again, a compassionate ear, helping hands to help the student attain their potentiality. For me, I don't see a divergence there. For me, I don't see them as being different. For me, my role as a doctor, a teacher, even as a parent, I believe it's all the same role in helping the person manifest their totality of their potentiality.
Do your kids find a difference in you as a teacher and you as a parent?
Absolutely. See, as a parent, the chellam, the affection, the love is expressed in a different way. Giving them gifts, giving them a kiss, holding them, cuddling them, lifting them up, letting them sit on my back, going for a drive on the bike, taking them to school and having a chat. But then as a teacher, I believe that there has to be a certain distance maintained. It is that distance that enables me to be objective rather than subjective. Because if I'm subjective and say they are my kids, either I'm going to be too hard on them or I'm going to be too soft on them. And I believe that objectivity needs that gap. And so definitely I would say that there's a difference. And I think they also realize it, that the liberty they take with me at home or for the rest of the time, when it comes to Yoganjali Natyalayam and in the class, I think they realize there has to be a gap. Because I grew up with my parents being my teachers, my gurus. And that gap enabled me to have so many beautiful experiences in my life. And I see many people making the mistake of putting their children above other talented students. And I see it destroys the talented student, it destroys your children too. Because they'll realize what you were doing. They'll lose the trust in you, in your judgment, in your ability. At the same time, one has to be careful one is not too tough on them. And I hope that time will judge me favorably when it comes to the way my kids grew up, and how they grew up will reflect on me, will reflect on my parents, the entire tradition.
I'm sure we have a lot more questions to ask and a lot more avenues to explore, but maybe on some other occasion. It was indeed a pleasure to have us with you, and thank you very much for your time. We would like to end this interview with a song of yours.
Well, this is a song on Lord Shiva, and in this song we are asking Lord Shiva, who's the cosmic dancer as Nataraja, have you got tired of dancing? I cannot find you any place. Where have you gone? Are you so tired that you have disappeared? Nandi, the bull, has to play the drum. The Ganas, all these ethereal forces that are found with Shiva, they need to dance. Narada and Tumburu make music. Mother Parvati, doesn't she have to enjoy your dance? Why don't you come and dance your dance of bliss with us? Adi adi neve kalaite ho, adi adi neve kalaite ho, Ambalavanave Ananda Tandavam Mingum Adi Adi Neve Kalaite ho, Ambalavanave Ananda Tandavam Yengum Adi Adi Neve Kalaite ho. பொற்பதம் துணை என்று நம்பி வந்தேனே, பொற்பதம் துணை என்று நம்பி வந்தேனே, புகழும் முந்தனை காணவில்லை எங்குமே, பொற்பதம் துணை என்று நம்பி வந்தேனே, பால் புகழும் முந்தனை காணவில்லை எங்குமே. ஆடி ஆடி நீரை களைத்தேவோ களைத்தேவோ. நந்தி மத்தளம் கொட்டவே பூதகணங்கள் ஆட வேண்டாம. நந்தி மத்தளம் கொட்டவே பூதகணங்கள் ஆட வேண்டாம. நாரத பாடிட தும்புரு இசைத்திட அன்னையும் மகிழ வேண்டாம. நந்தி மத்தளம் கொட்டவே பூதகணங்கள் ஆட வேண்டாம. நாரத பாடிட தும்புரு இசைத்திட அன்னையும் மகிழ வேண்டாம. ஐந்தொழில் புரியும் மையனே, மாய வித்தை செய்யும் மெய்யனே. ஐந்தொழில் புரியும் மையனே, மாய வித்தை செய்யும் மெய்யனே. துன்பத்தை துடைக்கும் தூயனே, ஆனந்தமாய் நீ ஆடிட பாபா. துன்பத்தை துடைக்கும் தூயனே, ஆனந்தமாய் நீ ஆடிட பாபா. ஆனந்தமாய் நீ ஆடிட பாபா. ஆனந்தமாய் நீ ஆடிட பாபா. ஆனந்தமாய் நீ ஆடிட பாபா.